Hello, and welcome to the Sheep Seats. I'm your host, Matthew, aka Sheep, aka Dark Sheep. Tonight, we are here less than 2 weeks to the start of the baseball season. We've got plenty of room for everybody to get into the dingers still. Lots of space to fill up these drafts. We are waiting a minute here on the guest, but I thought I'd come hang out and keep you guys company. And how's everybody doing tonight? How are they feeling about draft season? Are you ahead? Are you behind where you want to be? Are you going to just jam in the last couple of weeks? I have gotten to the point where that is going to be a necessity for me. So, yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. I just finished my 50th dinger. I did my solo shot this afternoon with Davis on his stream, and got about 10 of the frozen ropes in. So that's where I sit. I think I'm not going to push myself too hard. What's up, Grill Belichick, my friend? The Tyler Stevenson back news is not good. It's a real kick in the roto-nads. I've avoided that so far. I was hit hard by the Francisco Alvarez one, though. Goose, what's up? You can't wait for it to start. Definitely. And let's bring the man of the hour here. I think he's set up. Rally, are you there, my friend?
Hey, what's up, man? Can you hear me?
I can. You are here. We are returning. We did this last year. That previous year, we had both hit the Underdog finals. And so we kind of led with that. And then this past year, you and I both made it to the DraftKings final. So, yeah, how was your season overall last year? And, how are you doing right now?
Yeah, good season. I think I made, 5 finals total. Took down the bunt 2, came in first in that one. So that was a couple thousand people in that one.
Nice.
Somehow made the finals on DraftKings, as you mentioned. I only had 7 teams on there, so
yeah, I did pretty low volume there too. So
yeah, that was totally unexpected, but yeah, I think I returned a little over 100% ROI, so things seem to be working out.
Yeah, and then have you played? I think you play football. Obviously, you get the football background, but have you dabbled in any other sports at this point?
No, just football. I made the finals in the Best Ball Mania again, and had a couple good runs there. But yeah, really just sticking to football and baseball. I tried NBA 2 years ago, but it's not really my thing. I don't follow it closely enough anymore.
Yeah, same with me. So yeah, this year you are in the baseball streets again, obviously. So where are you at in terms of how early did you start? Did you attack it with a plan, or have it just been more of a when you have time sort of thing this year?
Yeah, a little bit of both. I probably haven't put in quite as much volume just due to being a little busier this year. Looks like I've done 50 so far in the dinger.
Hey, me too.
I think I've probably got 25 or so on DraftKings. I would say all total, I'm looking at maybe 150 teams drafted so far.
Cool. And I guess so this year, are you in on some of these young early outfielders that seem to have percolated up to the second round?
I am. Yeah, the guys that are getting so far up there, they worry me a little bit. I tend to stick to maybe some of the younger guys that are going a little later. But I think the lesson from like Wyatt Langford and Jackson Chorio and stuff from last year is you just got to be taking stabs at these younger guys, man, because the upside is so high. even Langford, who was not that great last year, he was a monster at the very end. I think he was on my finals team on DraftKings. He was on there, and he was like the second highest scoring player on my team in the finals.
Yeah, he really came on there at the end. Well, what about stacking? Where are you at on stacking this year?
I may be doing a little less, and that's not intentional. I noticed early on I was definitely doing a little less, just the way the kind of the ADPs were lining up. But as those ADPs have kind of melted over the last month or two, I'm doing probably more, if anything. Certainly more than I was initially. I don't think we want to get away from that. I don't mind a little less stacking on DraftKings without the flex. Just one less hitter. You're kind of playing for more raw scoring there. But on Underdog, I think with that flex, especially with the 1 week pods in the playoffs instead of 2, that's 6 individual weeks. We're going to have to compile, top tier scores. And I don't see how you get there without stacking very, very frequently.
Yeah, it's pretty much the same as, where I'm at this year. I got to ask, you were the only person, the cover boy, Brenton Doyle here. You were the only person I know that was anywhere near in on Doyle last year. So how have you reflected on, that? And, maybe you don't have to give away all your secrets players this year, but, did you take a lesson and apply that to this year?
Yeah, I mean, I think what kind of led me to Doyle was a number of things. He obviously had power, like his contact skills he hadn't put it all together in that arena yet. But it was the fact that he had a combination of power and speed that kind of drew me to him. I think when you're in those later rounds and we're just really looking for upside, if a guy has power and speed, it's giving you multiple outs. It's a lot easier for a guy like that to pull off a 2020 than it is just for some random guy to hit 30 bombs or steal 60 bases or something like that. So I think it's the multiple outs. The Rockies, obviously, when we're looking for spike weeks, I think a big thing was the fact that they played 7 games in Coors the last week of the season. I just thought, if you're looking for a bailout there or a spike week, what better than a guy that plays 7 games in Coors? And he ended up kind of falling into leading off for a lot of the season, and the power developed, the contact was there, and it just, it's a high upside play. It would be tough for me to replicate that call. Again, I think I said I was 20% Brenton Doyle last year, and he was off the board at the time. So obviously that worked out pretty well for me. That was one of the pretty big factors in my advance rate last year.
Yeah, Billy Joe here. I made the finals in 22, 23, and 24, Dinger, and I don't know what I'm doing. I'm going to disagree with that, Billy. If you've managed that, I think you know what you're doing. You're being a little humble there. I guess any other thoughts, right now on overall this year? I guess the other big thing is the fall of early pitching and just that kind of the glut in the middle of pitching. What are you thinking about? Putting together your pitching staff.
Yeah, I think pitching is definitely an interesting one. On DraftKings, the prices are egregious for most of the pitchers. I find myself just doing a ton of 0 pitcher, or maybe like getting one guy in the 8th round and building around that. Underdog, it's a little easier. The prices make a little more sense, I think. I'm still. I was pretty conservative early on, which has worked out well because I think I'm like 2% Jarrett Cole, 4% Kirby, or maybe 2% Kirby and 4% Grayson Rodriguez, something like that.
Okay.
Just kind of I've just laid off a lot of the pitchers in the top 100, and I do feel like there's some depth out there this year. I'm finding it harder to find good hitters late than I did last year, and I'm finding it easier to find good pitchers than I did last year late. So I've kind of laid off the gas, even with the falling values. I've still tended to just kind of stack up my team later at pitching this year.
Okay.
But I think now, with 2 weeks before the season, I think now's the good time to pivot and kind of look towards some of those guys that maybe you're way underweight on. Because what we see last year, who was it that had the big week? Was it that threw Blake Snell threw a no-hitter in the second round or third round? And if you didn't have any of him, man, he just wiped you out.
Yeah. And Zach Wheeler, once he got to the finals, on Underdog at least, was another big guy. I think all top 4 people had him. All right, so I did just peek in to see where we were at on a fill rate, and I filled the contest. So we will auto that one, and we will we'll try to get in here together in the next one. So yeah, we can try and fill this room. Waiting for 9 people. We should be able to do that. Hopefully you get in. Everybody is waiting. We're down to 4.
Oh, are you ready?
Oh yeah, we're good.
Oh,
did you get in?
I hope. 9, waiting for 8 people.
All right.
Did we miss 2 of them?
We missed 2 of them.
My fault. I didn't hear you say go.
Sorry. Yeah, it kind of filled up. All right. Well, let's should we? What do you think? Would you like to just watch this one, and maybe we'll hit a second draft after this?
Yeah, I'll pull out this one. We can do a Frankenstein team here where we both look at it.
Yeah, we can do this one together. Yeah, triple table. No, I just turned the auto on the other one, so you're lucky people are in there. Here's a question from Mr. Grapefruit. Would you guys draft Kyle Teal in a 2-catcher 10-team roto league? I could take him with one of my last picks. I don't think so. Like 10-team, there should be a guy with a better path. Like I feel like you just want a guy that's going to catch at that point, especially last round. You can grab Kyle Teal when he is up. I don't think.
Yeah. In best ball, I'm really looking to avoid catchers at all costs.
Sure.
Missing that game every week is just terrible when you need a guy to fill in your. We're looking for spike weeks, so that missed game every week is brutal, and the injury rate, the catcher, is so high. Guys miss 4-6 weeks all the time at the position.
Yeah, because I had to look up who Kyle Teal even was, to be honest. So he's the Chicago catching prospect. I mean, he's got Corey Lee. I think they still try to get something out of Corey Lee. They have Matt Thaiss as the backup. Yeah, I don't think there's a hole there for right away. There's no reason to draft him this early, unless you know something.
What have you been doing with Gunner here? Notice he's been falling a little bit.
Yeah, I'm not getting to him. I'm still, taking outfielder.
Yeah, here. I think that might be the right move right now. I have some Gunner, but I never felt great about it with them losing a big bat in that lineup with Santander.
Yeah, let's try and build a Phillies team. I need some more Phillies teams. So Let's start with Schwarber here, and then I'm happy with a bunch of options here coming back.
Yeah, Schwarber's a guy I never mind taking. He doesn't really have to be stacked. I like those guys at the beginning of the draft. You just don't feel dependent with him. Do you think he still leads off this year?
It doesn't sound like it. It sounds like they're going to let Trey lead off. But I don't know how long that lasts. It depends on what Trey's doing more so than what Schwarber's doing. All right. Let's take my favorite guy here, Vlad Guerrero, and go outfield infielder. I'm feeling a lot more comfortable going infielder in the first 1 or 2 rounds than I have been in past years.
Yeah. 2 years ago, I did just an absolute ton of zero infield on DraftKings. I don't really recommend that. I did fine, but what happens when you get to the playoffs, It's just really hard to get there when somebody's got Pete Alonso and somebody's got Vlad Guerrero, and like you're just looking for like a Matt Chapman level guys to fill it out. And if you kind of decide you're not going to go zero infield, the reverse is slamming a bunch of guys in early, which we know doesn't work, generally speaking.
Yeah.
Because then you end up too weak at outfield. I think really the option is get one or two of these guys in the first maybe 3 to 4 rounds, and then try to fill out with that 100 level infielder.
Yeah. Yeah. Because those guys you can get later, but they just don't. Most of them don't have spike weeks. There might be one guy that stands out each year. Yeah. So grapefruit here, going back, take Ivan Herrera. I love Ivan Herrera. I wish that he was a little bit better defensively. Then you could get him some more at bats. I think it's going to be a pretty even split between him and Pages at the catcher for the Cardinals. But Herrera is just a good hitter, and like if you take him as your second catcher and have a good average for a catcher, I think on a roto team that's awesome.
Is there any big news today? I missed the window of my day.
Let's see. Today, I think it was yesterday. They're saying the news for Acuna is early to mid-May. They kind of put a date on it. I think that is all I really heard. Somebody. Oh, I'm trying to recall.
I'm pretty high on Acuna. I don't have a ton. I'm not just taking him every time. I'm probably in that 10 to 12% range. But man, when you're looking at that, like, who do I really want between Jackson Merrill or Teoscar or Ronald Acuna? I think when you're betting $10 to win 100,000, you want Ronald Acuna.
I get it. I have not got there. Yeah, this is a pretty fun start though. Witt, Skeens, Acuna, like,
yeah,
you back up Acuna for that first month and a half or whatever, and you've got potentially the 3 high scoring guys from then on out.
Yeah, and I feel pretty good about Atlanta bouncing back. Yeah. I don't know if they'll reach the heights that they did 2 years ago, but if you can sneak an Acuna team in there, if he's low owned, that only helps you. So,
well, yeah, I don't know how low owned he's going to be. Like, I feel like a lot of people are, still taking that bet on him.
Right. I guess I'm saying if instead of 3 weeks, he misses 8 weeks or something like that, the more time he loses,
right,
the less likely you are to run into another Acuna team if you can get there with him.
For sure.
There goes Trey.
Yep. So that Trey, yeah, I guess, what is his ADP? 36? Yeah. That's all right. TK gets him there. This is a really interesting spot. Devers is here. He's been falling with his news.
Yeah.
And, Trout's here. We got these injury guys. We have a couple of young guys. I'm going to go James Wood here. This is sort of a catch up on exposures draft.
Yeah, I don't have a lot of Wood.
He's just
something about that ballpark and that lineup. It just makes me wonder, am I really going to want to show up with that guy on my team in the finals?
Yeah, I just don't like the ground ball rate. I don't like I just don't like where he's going. It's hard for me to get there on him, but if we're taking bets, like, it's dumb to just completely not make the bet.
Right.
All right. Speaking of bets, let's take Devers here. I guess I don't know if it was so much news, but he kind of came out and said, yes, I will
Yeah,
will DH if you want me to.
yeah, I've been taking a fair amount of him. It's the lineup looks pretty good. I'm just not. This news is just kind of soap opera BS to me. Is he going to hit 28 homers and drive in 100 runs and score 100 runs? Like, probably yes. It seems like it.
Yeah, right. Like, if you're okay taking Acuna there, and you're not okay taking maybe a barky shoulder Rafael Devers, you kind of can't be out on or in on. I don't know what I want to say. You can't be. It's like the same bet in a way. TK is at 31% Trey, so I don't think I was ever getting him to fall back to me.
Yeah, I mean, Trey's interesting. I think if he winds up leading off, he's a pretty good pick, and if he's a guy that I'm happy to see in my lineup in the finals. He's.
I think that's a great start in general from TK. Jordan, he gets Churio to fall, who's kind of pushed himself up to the 1-2 turn sometimes. My fault partially. And then Trey, yeah, and Adolis bounce back.
Yeah, Adolis is a weird one. I mean, he's going like 75 on DK, like commonly. It's crazy. So I tend to take him a lot there. I had a lot of them last year, so I've had a lot of them the last 2 years. So at this point, I don't really know what to do with him. It's like he was great 2 years ago. He was awful last year. Flip a quarter, he's one of those guys that the projections don't really like.
Right.
But man, he kind of hit above his weight for so long that I don't know if I trust the projections.
Yeah, and I'm just gonna go there. The late age breakout with the strikeout problem to begin with. It's just all the signs to me point to maybe not a assumed downswing, but just like the chances of a downswing with the profile just fit. I guess I'm just kind of undervaluing Texas in general, I think, compared to the field. I think I'm reacting too much to last year, considering they just won. I just have questions, like when I put the questions of Seager, Adolis, and Simeon, like the age of all of them and just the health status potentially.
Right.
Simeon's never had health problems, but he's played so much. Like, I don't know. I just can see the three of them falling apart again at the same time and being bad.
Yeah, I've really been fading Simeon. The wheels kind of fell off last year. He might not be hitting leadoff. He's not that special of a player, and they've got a lot of good young players. And I just see a lot of situations where you don't want any part of him, and that in general kind of sours me on Simeon. I mean, on Adderley. Seager, I still take just for the upside, but you already have to pencil in the fact he's probably going to miss 6 weeks.
Yeah. Grill here, ice cold snipe pick out of Lease when he was building the Rangers stack, and then so he's gonna get him back and take Yelich. I assume TK. Yeah, TK took Trio. That's right. Let's see. Pitchers are starting to go now. Nothing terribly crazy on where these guys went.
Yeah, this is a range where I do kind of like these pitchers.
Yeah,
I like the guys who just went, and I like Cease. Cease is, I think, my highest owned pitcher.
Okay. Assuming
like Nimmo here at all.
No, I'm out on Nimmo this year. I think Nimmo's been found money on Underdog the last couple of years.
Yeah.
Too much weird health stuff. Yeah, he's gonna start at DH duties. I'll take Cease. I like that. I like that call. And then it's gross, but we'll probably take Castellanos here with Schwarber.
Yeah, I just think Cease has got a lot of upside there. In that it's a pitcher's park. He's got an offense behind him, so you're not worried about him grinding out, 2-1 wins in August, September, whenever the playoffs start. What is it, August? Yeah. He's got the strikeout upside that I like to see, and that he just makes a nice anchor, I think.
Yeah. I've been also taking a lot of Cole Reagans there.
Yeah, I think he's a pretty good pick too. He's got a little more health concerns. That's why I would go Cease over Reagans. But Reagans I had a lot of Reagans last year, and that worked out really well.
Yeah, I'm buying in a year too late, but hopefully it doesn't. I guess it was last year. I was concerned of him holding up for a full season.
Mm-hmm.
But he showed he can. So I'm just going to take Castellanos here. We have, we obviously missed out on Bryce and Trey, but tacking on a Bohm or a Stott to these guys, or even a late Brandon Marsh or Kepler, I don't hate just that simple 3-man.
Yeah, I like both those guys, Bohm and Stott. Bohm, he's a guy I've been taking a lot of the last 2 years, and it's just kind of worked out. He's got some injury concerns, but when you're taking him that far down, you're really not too worried about that. If he misses 4 weeks along the way, it's not the end of the world. You're just worried about how many times is he going to be able to hit your lineup over the course of a season. And for Bohm, he tends to just have these massive games and weeks where you check the box score and he's got 7 RBIs. Like the guy's got power and he plays for a good lineup. I think he's an excellent pick. He's risen a good bit, but I still grab a lot of them.
Yeah, it's still in the 150 range where it's the same as taking him later. I think you can flip flop picks in the 150 to the 200 range. As far as I'm concerned, ADP just almost is meaningless at that point.
Yeah, there's very few guys that I would be overweight at 170 and underweight at 156. It's kind of an either I want this guy or I don't want this guy type of deal once you get down there.
Exactly. Chip here is not going with last year's strategy of never take pitcher. He's taking Crochet and Burns here.
Yeah, he was a 0 pitcher guy. Big time. I think all 150 lineups or something.
I think something like that. Christian Walker was hitting in the cage, but it still seems like questionable whether he's going to be ready in a couple of weeks. But seems like that's in the right direction. I'm still afraid on Christian Walker because he had the same oblique issue last year. So the reoccurrence is pretty scary for me.
Yeah, that wasn't good to see. He's one of my higher owned hitters, probably. I would say I'd have to check, but it's probably like 18%, maybe. And it was higher before he got hurt. That's a guy that he's consistent year to year. He's in a hitter's park. It's kind of a range where I'm generally looking to clean up my infield a little bit. Whether he's my first, then he's an absolute necessity, or second, just to give me a little support. I definitely take a lot of Walker, and that was a little concerning. I just think he's way better than that range of Semien or Adames. I mean, Adames shifting to a pitcher's park. I've had a lot of Adames the last 2 years. We hit the absolute nuts last year. Like, you're not going to get that again. It's not in San Fran. He's not hitting 36 homers.
Yeah, and how many steals is he going to get? They're not exactly a steal-happy team.
Yeah. They also sub guys in and out of the lineup mid-game, which kind of blocks their ceiling. It's like everybody gets 2 at-bats on the whole team.
Yeah, I think he's going to be pretty safe there for that, but a concern. Sure. I've been buying a bunch of Spencer Strider because every piece of news has been just good on him. I don't know. I guess he's my Acuna.
Yeah, I've been off of him, and I don't know if I feel good about it. But how deep into the season did he get hurt last year? Oh, you're on the clock.
This is an interesting fall on Chris Sale.
Yeah, who I have very little of, but I'd have to be interested there, I think.
Yeah, I'm gonna grab him here.
Yeah.
Roundish behind. I think that's a good bet on a guy. Strider was like the first game. I think it was game 1 or game 2.
Yeah. Yeah. So you've got almost a full season to recover.
Yeah,
I worry about, like, I mean, is he really going to be out there throwing 12 strikeouts, or are they going to be pulling him after 4 or 5 innings for so long? You know,
that could be the issue. Yeah, and it was just the brace. It wasn't the full TJ. So, but it was his second time getting.
I think on UD where we get the quality starts bonus, that's another concern of mine. Like, I don't know that he's going to get as long of a leash.
That's fair. Let's see here. So I'm 2-2-3. I'm definitely looking at the outfield cliff coming up here.
Yeah, I think I'd go outfield just to
and
avoid.
Deciding.
Yeah.
I think this is just a Taylor Ward pick boring for me.
Yeah, I like that. I don't hate Quan, and Taylor Ward does have that knee concern, but I'm going Taylor. That Angels lineup looks pretty good. I've actually stacked a good amount of Angels. I like Zach Neto. I think I was probably single-handedly responsible for him getting an ADP early on. I just think he's a smash down there. Yeah, I like Nolan Shawnall a good bit too. I've been taking a lot of him.
Yeah. Okay. I've not got that deep. Soler, definitely get him. I've been grabbing Joe Adell.
Yeah, also
he was on pace for 2020 last year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's kind of got a little bit of that Brent Doyle feel, where he's a 2020 guy in a lineup that, you know, there's some good late stacking partners.
Yeah. So does that? I assume that means you're in on Trout, no problem then.
I haven't been taking much of him. I've got a little. I'm probably 3 or 4%, but the way I see it is if Trout's healthy, it only helps those other guys. Mm-hmm. If he's not, I think those guys are still have pretty good standalone value.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's see here. We got Latman has no pitchers yet. Colt Fan has grabbed one. Who else is going no pitcher? Britt Hom. Oh, I guess he grabbed Wheeler. So, yeah. Our friend Ben CLT Go Blue is also going 0 pitcher here. But this is where pitching just starts, like, half the picks are pitchers. And I certainly have no problem waiting till here to start. I just don't always do it.
Yeah, I think we want to be thinking about ways to kind of get away from doing what everyone else is doing. Mm-hmm. And when it's like a really, really pitcher-heavy range, my concern is, like, I could be right about pitcher around this range, but not get the right pitcher. Or I could be getting it feels like I'm going to have very similar teams that everyone else builds. Like, if you fill out your hitting and just start your pitching right there in that glob area, it feels like you're going to have very, very similar teams to other people, where you're maybe sharing 2 or 3 of your top hitters in these pods. It's something to think about. That's one reason I like to mix in one pitcher early if I can. It mm-hmm. just tends to kind of get you away from some of those same builds that other people are doing.
Yeah, I'm with you there 100%. Because like you said, you can tell a story on any of these guys being the guy you need, and if everybody's there and everybody's taking 2 of these guys together, and one of them's the guy you need, like the other guy's just gonna get carried along.
Well, and also if you take 7 hitters in the first 7 rounds, you're not really opening yourself up for when you do hit a late season smash, a guy that you can use every week, kind of like Lane Thomas was 2 years ago. When you hit on Lane Thomas, it doesn't help you as much if you already took 7 hitters in the first 7 picks.
Good point. Good point. George Kirby is falling. No problem letting him go.
I'm a Pete Crow guy. Are you?
If he comes back to us, I'm gonna tack him on here. I have. It depends on which week this season you've asked me. I've gone back and forth like weekly on him.
I just think the guy looks like an animal out there.
That's true. I mean, the projections don't agree.
Yeah.
But there's just something about him that is attractive as a baseball player. Just like the upside there. But yeah.
Yeah, he's pretty electric. It's a little bit of a crowded situation. I think all it's going to take is like one injury in Chicago to where you've got a really nice pick on your hands.
Yeah, I think he's locked in for playing time. I think the thing that he can improve is his lineup position. Like if he's hot and there's a need for a leadoff hitter, he can be that guy. It's just he doesn't project to be one. So I think with the way baseball teams are run now, like they're going to make him prove it. Like they're not just going to put him because he's fast as the leadoff guy.
Right. Yeah, I just think it's again one of those guys where when you're trying to turn $10 into $100,000. I think his upside case, if he zeroes out, okay, I've got probably 20% Pete Crow. Those 20% of teams are dead. But if he doesn't, I got 20% of teams that are playing for $100,000. It's just a pure upside play.
Yeah, Matt, he's in because of his defense. The way I put it in this last episode of Stacking Dingers, we did the NL Central. The way I put it, I think Pete Crow Armstrong next year is going to either be drafted at like 50 or 180.
Right.
I think that's kind of because we're going to decide one way or the other which side.
Those are the guys we want to take stabs at.
Right. Exactly. We're getting into this, Kerry Carpenter, Matt Wallner range.
That's another reason I like Pete Crow Armstrong. He keeps me out of this range.
Okay. So, yeah, I guess I don't know how deep you've dove into like those guys specifically, but like these platoon bats that we were getting in the 18th, 19th round last year.
Yeah.
Are up here now, and I'm having a hard time getting there. But I still get why people are doing it. They're hoping that playing time is there and they don't get platooned as much, but it's tough for me.
Yeah, I don't like these guys. I like Raffaello a little bit. He's kind of got that 20-20 range, and I was taking a lot of Bregman. It's hard to get Bregman anymore. He goes so high. I was taking a lot of Duran, Bregman, Devers. So Raffaello kind of fits with what I'm doing.
Okay, that's interesting. I think you're the first person I know that have said that they're in on Raffaello. So
really,
yeah. I think everybody's pretty afraid of the downside on him being that he swings at everything, and there's a path for like. I think people are just like also just hot on the young guys there, the late prospects there.
Yeah, I take some Roman Anthony as well. I do it a lot more on DraftKings, I feel like, than I do on Underdog. But
all right, so I am wrong. Grill is also on Rafaela and TK. So I've not been talking to the right people. Tonight I have the right people.
Yeah, I mean, I'd have to check my exposures, but I had to guess I know I'm higher on DraftKings because for some reason he only goes like 175 or 180 on DraftKings. So I end up just kind of backing into him a lot.
Sure.
But
I'm going to slap Dansby with PCA here.
Yeah, I like that.
Gives us a Matt Shaw or a Matt Bush late if we want it. But I'm also fine just putting these two guys.
Yeah, with the Cubs, I do stack the Cubs a good amount. I don't know if I love it because the weather's a little chilly at the end of the year, and when we're looking for those spike weeks, I'd rather stay away from some of those cold weather teams. It's like you get hammered at the beginning of the year when they all start out not being able to hit, and then you get hammered at the back end. Okay, you're back up here.
Yeah, the injured pitchers are starting to come up to the top here.
I still kind of like Grayson and Kirby, but Lugo going with your. Oh no, you missed on. I was thinking you took the other case, Reagan's.
Yeah, no, I did not. Yeah, we're just gonna take Lugo. A lot of these guys are pretty interchangeable to me.
Mm-hmm.
Lugo and Steele. I still think last year was the year to draft Lugo. Just like the what we got out of him last year is we're not going to approach anything like that. But I do like. I have a tough time being a Senga and Flaherty, but Jared Jones and Kikuchi are both sort of interesting. Robbie Ray's hanging out there, who has early on was one of my most drafted guys, and I've kind of tailed off as he's moved up.
Who's up? Rob Ray?
Yeah.
Yeah. I haven't taken a lot of him. He burned me pretty hard 2 years ago. So
yeah, he did. You can go back in time somewhere. I know I compiled like the previous 5-year innings, and he was like number 3 in the innings pitched, and then that came back to bite me. Thoughts on Nico Horner in the Cubs stack? I am vocally anti Nico Horner. I just think he is not a underdog hitter. But
I've been out so far. I took a lot of them last year, which felt like a risk, and it obviously didn't pay off. The injury news doesn't sound great to me, and he was really bad last year, man. But look at those points, that 1,400.
Yeah,
the single digit homers. I don't know, man. I'm out.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to miss too much time, but I've just never been a Nico Horner guy. Obviously, the steals are there. He had that 1374 season. I don't know where he hits in that lineup this year.
Yeah, and he hits really poorly from one side. I can't remember. Was he hit lefties badly? And man, like even when he was hitting, like he was hitting ninth a lot last year.
Yeah,
and it just you're going to miss so many ABs over the course of the week, and just such fewer RBI opportunities.
Yeah, well, I mean, we're just said let's take Crow Armstrong, who's likely the 9th hole hitter there, but
but he's a speed demon, man. He can score from first on a single.
Yeah, I just see the path. I see their paths going the opposite direction.
Right.
The arrows are pointing the opposite.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of guys I'm interested in late, and Nico's just not. He just doesn't. He's not one of them. I think if you were to attack another 2 rounds of the draft on there, I still don't think I'd be overweight Nico. Like he just wouldn't be making my cut very often.
Yeah,
I say this as a guy that was at least 2x the field on him last year, so I know exactly how bad he was.
Yeah. Christopher Sanchez here up at 145. He has been on a steady climb.
Yeah. He was a guy I was on 2 years ago or last year.
Okay.
And man, he looks lights out this preseason.
Yeah.
I was not taking him early this year, and then man, he comes out there in the preseason. And you're like, okay, I just gotta suck it up and do this again.
Right. I had some of him. And yeah, again, another guy who goes deep into games.
Yeah, the projections didn't like him. That's why I was kind of off of him this year. Like they didn't like his strikeout rate was really low. I don't think that's going to be the case. I think sometimes these middle relievers that as they move into the starting, I don't think the projections always figure out what to do with them. I think he's going to have a really nice season.
Interesting.
Pivetta, I feel good about too. I like Pivetta.
Yeah.
I know he's risen like 40 spots, but again, do I want him or do I not want him? And I think I still want him.
Yeah, I have been trying to fill in. He's just like a guy I completely forgot about.
Mm-hmm. You got Grayson here. You like him here?
I got it. See, part of the problem though is I have like 30% Grayson Rodriguez.
Mm-hmm. 31%. Take him here.
Let's do it. Let's have some fun.
Yeah, I think it's a good pick.
He's starting his throwing progression soon. I'm just having flashbacks to last year when Kyle Bradish was like, "Oh, he's hurt. Oh, he's starting to throw again. Oh no, next day he's got TJ scheduled."
I do like Ronaldo Lopez as well. I probably would have taken one of those two guys there because I really don't like Gurriel, Wynn, or Buxton at all.
Yeah,
or Raleigh, to be honest, or Muncy. I mean, like this India. I think India is a horrible pick. I like this is a really bad range for hitters. Like I think most of these guys can be zeros.
Yeah, I like Cal and Muncy just for weekly upside.
Cal's got some decent weekly upside. I don't stack Seattle a lot. I just kind of try to avoid them.
Mm-hmm. I have a lot of just solo Cal.
Yeah, and I think that's okay.
Let's see. Yeah, okay. So Billy takes him there.
I think I'd go Lopez here and cut it at 6, but
okay, yeah, like
only because I don't like these hitters.
That's fair enough. Let's build that team. Let's say Grayson's all right. We just got an awesome value on him. Mm-hmm. Let's build a 6 team. I like this idea.
And you're going to need 7 infielders. I think it's obvious here. Even if you get a massive season out of Dansby, you're going to need 7. So I like locking in my 6th pitcher there and going 6, 8, 6, maybe even.
Interesting. How much would you say you're doing 6 pitcher?
A lot, probably. I would venture to say half my teams, maybe more.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I've been very, very, very aggressive with 6 pitcher.
What's your thought there?
Pitchers get hurt a lot, and it's just very hard to get 7 healthy pitchers to the playoffs. It's easier to get 6 healthy pitchers to the playoffs. So if you draft 7 and I draft 6, and we both show up there with 6, that means I've got 1 extra hitter on you.
Okay, this is true, but I mean, you're balancing that against the chance. You know, you show up with 5 or 4.
Sure. It's a little more aggressive. I like the 6, 7, 7. It's giving me, I'm getting a primary, a secondary, a tertiary stack. Sometimes I'm throwing 2 Colorado guys in together. That's not really just kind of a mini stack.
Mm-hmm.
It just gives you a little more angles. I also did a lot of my drafting very early this year. Like I was jamming a lot of my entries in early, and I didn't want to be really overweight on too many guys when they hadn't thrown any pitches yet.
Mm-hmm.
Because after you get those first couple of reports, you kind of start hearing, this guy's elbow or this guy's still not getting loose in his back or, whatever. And like the pitchers, man, you hear that news in February and like it just kills you when you're 20% of that guy because that dude's about to miss the season or at least miss 3 months and you're just screwed. Yeah.
I just told you my Grayson percentage.
Yeah. I was there on Lewis Gill. I have a ton of Lewis Gill.
Oh, okay.
January.
Yeah, that one hurts. Everybody is in on Sanchez, so no doubt why he is rising up. Matt took him at 145 here because he didn't think he'd make it back. And judging by the comments, I don't think he would have done it either. TK is in on India. I think I'm a little more into him than you, but he is maybe in that Nico Horner mode. I might be a little hypocritical there, railing on one guy when the other guy fits pretty much the same.
I took a decent amount of India last year in Cincy, so I'm not like an anti-India guy. Man, the projections really don't like that guy this year, and I just hate to fade the projections for a oft injured Kansas City late round piece.
Yeah. I think a lot of people are looking past how much time he's missed just because they're happy to have a potential leadoff guy ahead of Bobby Witt.
Yeah, and that's I get that. I think if
sorry, the pitchers get hurt a lot, so I'm just going to take 6 that stay healthy. Simple. Yeah. It's a simple game. I don't know why everybody makes it so complicated.
I've got. I would say it's probably half my teams. I'd have to really do some analysis, but I guarantee it's at least 40% of my teams are 6-pitcher.
Yeah. All right. We're taking Wilson Contreras here. Still just disrespected.
Yeah, I don't have a lot of them, but yeah, I can see that, especially there. My one exception to not taking catchers is like when it gets late like this and I don't have bodies out there, that's when I tend to take my catchers. Like if I've already got 6 infielders here, I'm literally never taking Contreras right there. But if I have 3,
I have news for you because he's going to be first base DH this year.
Oh, okay.
They have 2 other catchers. So
that's right. I forgot. Yeah, he's a good young hitter too. I thought he was going to split time at catcher still.
Nope, he is out at catcher.
I don't do the Cardinals.
Okay.
This year they got me good 2 years ago.
Let's see. Yeah, I'm pretty worried on Jordan Walker. Looks like somebody already. Nootbaar just went. So I'm going to scroll down and take Joe Adell.
Yeah, I like him.
And then.
Do you take Donovan at all?
No. Yeah, Donovan, he's just a better baseball player than a fantasy asset. All right. What are you? Do you disagree?
No, I'm not. I think I'm literally 0% St. Louis.
Okay.
I couldn't figure out what was going on there early on.
I don't think they know, to be fair.
Yeah, exactly. I just couldn't figure out what's going on there. And I said, are all these guys going to play 100 games? I know that gives you some opportunity because if 1 or 2 of them stink or get hurt, like you end up with 155 games out of somebody. But it's just not. It just doesn't look good on paper.
Yeah. TK, I've backed off on Woodruff. I have plenty of Woodruff exposure. He is supposed to pitch. Oh, excuse me. This Sunday, he'll probably only pitch. Excuse me, an inning or so. But he is supposed to play in a spring game, which is a good sign. But previously, he threw in a minor league game. He was sitting 94. So at this point, I think he's further behind than I had hoped. And I think even if once he makes it, he could still be ramping up. He might be back up to the 96, 97. But if he's sitting at 94, there's going to be a potential adjustment period, even if he is healthy enough, the shoulder is good enough to pitch. I think he might just like hit kind of a wall and see, like figuring out how to pitch again. He's an awesome pitcher, so he could do it right away, but the flags have been piling up.
Where are you on Josh Jung?
Like I said, I'm kind of out on Texas in general. He's a guy that killed me last year, so I'm
yeah. I had a lot of them last year.
I'm pretty gun shy on him, but the pedigree's there. We thought he had power last year. He didn't. Is that risk related? A season removed, is he gonna find some power? The team can be excellent. I know I was talking negatively before, but like they're 2 years from the World Series with pretty much the same guys. So it might be a big mistake. He's definitely a guy I don't feel great about my decision on at this point.
What about Tommy Edman right there? I find myself thinking like he's always there when I'm on the clock, and I go back and forth.
I like Tommy Edman.
Yeah.
I just think he is the role player now for the Dodgers. I think he's going to be the guy giving other guys rest.
Yeah, I agree. Or you get a situation where Betts misses 6 weeks or something.
Yeah. I think there's a lot of I mean, he's not going to give you 5th round value. I just think he's great here.
Well, I think even if he's hitting 9th in LA, like he's still getting 5 ABs a lot. I mean,
yeah, and in the playoffs, he was hitting 5th, 6th last year.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we got some puns coming in. Bjorn, sounds like you're pretty young shy. I don't know if that one's as good. I like Ben's here. It's a young man's game.
The cream of some young guy.
Yeah, Garrett Mitchell has been a very popular pick. I guess Sanchez went there. So if you're out on St. Louis, are you also out on like a Miami team that kind of we don't really know too much?
I wouldn't say I'm out on Miami. I just really haven't been doing it. I do think Sanchez is a pretty good pick.
Mm-hmm.
Who's the other guy? I never take him.
Xavier Edwards.
Yeah, I'm not feeling that one, but
especially not on DK, right?
No, I have no idea what's going on there. What's he going 70th?
Yeah, I've seen people have been posting screenshots of him going like 50th.
I can't explain it. I mean, he didn't start there. He's just been shooting up like around every 2 days.
Yeah, Matt also pointing out he's got the Dodger stack, so absolute potential.
Yeah, I think I'm overweight on Edman. I'm probably I know I'm at least with the field. I'm probably 10% if I had to guess.
Okay.
I think he's a pretty good pick. I feel like he's a guy that maybe the projections don't like that much, and I do. Because I think you're right with your assessment that he's going to get his at bats.
All right. What did we get for Cubs? Yeah, let's take this maybe late. This 3-man Cubs stack, kind of lower in the lineup potentially. Maybe we hit on a good offensive season on the team overall, and a later stack.
Yeah,
comes up because I think that's something people, me included, don't do enough. Is they start their draft, right, and they get their couple of studs that they like, and then they build the stacks based off that, right? Not often enough, I think people build other parts of lineups in stacks.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the thing is, when you have a guy like Schwarber, I don't really need Philadelphia to do anything for Schwarber to get his 100-point week. Like, I need him to hit 4 homers, right?
Right.
And with a guy like Dansby Swanson, I do not really want him standalone. I want him stacked because he's kind of an accumulator where you're going to need the Cubs to have scored runs that week.
Yep. Absolutely. And they have a top end, but it's not as top of a top end. They're kind of just strong throughout. Whereas, Philly kind of, with Realmuto getting older, they kind of just have, and Nick Castellanos is kind of here or there at this point, like their window's closing, right? That lineup's not what it was 2 years ago.
Reese Olson, that's a guy I've been attacking on a lot lately. He's had some good press in the spring.
Okay. Easy stopping by to say hello. Fell asleep drunk, but popping in to say hello to you, Rally. Welcome, Easy. Yeah, Rally did not get in the draft. We're gonna try and get into a second one. So if you want to hang out, easy, maybe.
Sounds like Easy had a fun Friday.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'd be going back to sleep.
He's already asleep and back up.
At this stage in my life cycle, if I fell asleep drunk, I would not be awake to even want to think. Have you started to buy in on this Ryan Weathers hype, throwing 99 or whatever?
I don't think I've taken him yet. I thought that was an interesting pick. What's your take on him?
I don't know. I guess I'm just like, I'm anti-hype in this case. I guess I don't know enough about him. Let's see here. Pull up his page here on Fangraphs. He is 25, so he's still young. I don't know. It's hard to understand what's going on here, going from Padres to Miami. I guess last year, he cut the walk rate down. He doesn't really strike a ton of guys out. I mean, if he's throwing 99, he might, like, these projections might just be bunk on him, but I guess I'm just going to believe who he is.
I've taken a decent chunk of Clark Schmidt and Chris Bassett, but that's not a super sexy play. I just think that I know he had a really, really terrible outing the other day.
Grill realizing he was going to build the sixth player, but he has to try to do it. Don't give in. Just enjoy the sixth. I mean, if you add Darvish, I think I guess. Wait, let's see. That was his sixth. Okay, yeah. I might go a seventh then for sure.
Yeah, it's all right, man. We're still in solidarity. I would take 7 if I had Strider.
Okay, Easy was just taking a potty break. You can tell that Easy's a dad now because he's using words like potty break or potty instead of other things as my son walks by. Like your vocabulary changes at a certain point when you have a kid.
I do like Blanco, but if I like Garcia. Is that what you did? What did you do? Oh,
I didn't know. I popped him out, but you like Luis Garcia? Let's grab him and sell me on Luis Garcia.
Yeah, I mean he's got speed. I think I don't really want James Wood just totally naked there. I think Garcia is a pretty good pick. I think you need the help. I mean, Correa gets hurt a lot. Bush might have limited ABs.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you're asking Contreras to hit your flex like 8 times this season. I think you need the upside that Garcia offers there.
You've been doing more DK than me. I've just done a couple. Do you have this feeling too that DK the outfielder lasts a little bit longer?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's insane. Going Larnach, huh?
Yeah, we're gonna put Larnach with Correa here.
Yeah, I think that's good.
And we're gonna do that 6-7-7 build.
Yeah, I like the 6-7-7. Yeah, DK, you almost have to force yourself not to take some outfielders because you end up in this sort of precarious position where all of a sudden Jason Dominguez is like there at 112 and you've drafted 6 outfielders already and you feel like you can't take them.
Right.
Like you almost have to understand you're going to get at least one great ADP value at outfield on DK. And if you've shoehorned yourself in a way where you can't take advantage of that, you're kind of hurting your chances.
Yeah, that's something I've found every year on DK or I guess the first year I played there, like I didn't want to play the early pitching game that everybody just shot him up. But then when I got to like playoff rounds, I just like felt like I had no ammo against the other pitching staffs. Like, I think that's something that, you see value and you try to, adjust between the sites. But I think sometimes you have to play to the site and make sure you're not falling behind your room and just the field.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, if I'm always jamming in outfielders early and I never get Jason Dominguez at 106, well, guess who I'm going to run into in the playoffs? A bunch of teams that got Jason Dominguez at 106. Like you've got to be able to try to hit an absolute monster on DK.
Mm-hmm.
I want to be a lot more aggressive on DK and just try to hit the absolute mega nuts. Whereas on UD, this is a little more. The rooms are much more consistent. And I just want to play a little more defensively, and I don't want to take 2 outfielders in my first 8 picks and hope that I get lucky at the end. Like, it's not going to happen on Underdog.
Yeah, and if you're looking at prize pools and you're in the finals on DK, you're going to want to get first or not.
Right.
It's much flatter on Underdog.
Correct.
All right. So yeah, that led to let's see what. Scroll too far up here. Yeah, Gary got Varsho as the 6th. TK was confused. Ben saved the team by taking Story, so I couldn't. Yeah, that's fair. I have not drafted Trevor Story a single time. All right, are you ready? Are you ready this time?
All right, hang on. Yeah.
All right, let's.
All right, just tell me 1, 2, 3, go.
1, 2, 3, go. All right, I got 6 people. 5.
There we go. I'm in there.
Excellent.
All right.
Stack till you die.
I feel an immense amount of pressure to go 6 pitcher here.
No, you got to. That was just to throw us all off. You're gonna go 8. All right.
Yeah, I don't know exactly how many teams I've done. It's probably like 150. I'd probably have only done 8 pitcher like once or twice if I had to guess. Yeah. I'm pretty vehemently opposed to going 8 pitcher.
Yep. I'm pretty much there with you. All right. So Bjorn's in here. You got in here. We got Ben's CLT back in here. Inverted's in here. Paul, Latman, you're back in here. Excellent. Sorry if I missed anybody else, but those are the names I recognize. So
Cheese 24 is I think he's in Pete's Discord. I know I've talked to him. I can't remember where.
Oh, okay. What about DK? Are you changing the pitching idea without the flex hitting spot?
There, I like 8 pitcher a little more. Like, that's probably where my 2 8 pitchers are.
Yeah.
If I was going to do 866, it would be more so there. I think just because the pitching prices are so gross on DK, then I'm a lot more likely to just throw a bunch of crap at the wall and see if it sticks. Yeah. What was the news on Witt?
He's good. He's good to go.
Yeah.
Day to day. No damage.
I think it's tough to drop him here.
Oh, there's just depending on how much of an LA fan you are, I think there's just a massive tier drop after those.
Yeah. I was thinking about taking LA just because I like some of the other KC stack options, but I figured it might be a good time to do it coming off the hit by pitch, but it sounds like it was really nothing.
Yeah. We built Chicago last time, so I'm going to pop over Tucker here and take Corbin Carroll. I think it's kind of crazy that Tucker hasn't fallen as poorly as he's played this spring, and just some of the other reactions we've seen from spring hot starts and cold starts. Maybe people don't realize how bad he's been because it's not really been advertised.
Yeah, I'm a little nervous about him. I wouldn't say I'm overweight. I'm probably like 8 or 10%, something, nothing crazy, but I don't feel great about it. I the whole time I was wondering if we were taking him too early.
Yeah, he was just so hot last year until the bone bruise fracture, whatever.
Yeah, I had a ton of them. I think I was like 16%, and that sucked because he was being massively disrespected going in like 15 or wherever it was last year. I know he pulled up over time, but I had a ton of second-round Kyle Tucker when the contest first opened. Yeah, I just think you're moving from a great ballpark in Houston and a good lineup and I don't know that the injuries are seeming to mount, and now he looks terrible in the preseason. I'm wondering if he should be a first rounder.
Okay, that's pretty bold.
I'm still taking some of them, but I've certainly laid off of them a lot.
We have located Cheese 24 Skull. What's up, Charles? Welcome. You can get all your hot tips here. This is let's start with a Matt Olson here. I just like this Atlanta early. You said it earlier. I just think they bounce back. And I think as a team, I don't love the Ozzy Albies, Jurickson Profar price, but anybody else there, just give me all I can get.
All right. This is kind of a weird situation. I'm going to go. Lindor doesn't fall here too often. I don't have a lot of Lindor, so I'm just going to take him.
Yeah, I like that. And then, we talked about building differently. This is a different combo that is out there. You can build interesting with two guys at the infield to start. Mitch Mackey says, very light on Cole, but have him in 2 slows. 8-pitcher build, okay with him being out. I could go either way on this. You're at this point, like, your team's just at such a deficit that, like, adding on Nestor Cortez Jr. as an 8th pitcher, like how much better is that team than just hoping that the rest of your pitchers get you through? Like, I don't know. I don't know if there's enough that a guy like Nestor Cortez, like if you want to like add on like Jack Leiter or Jackson Jobe and say these guys are awesome, then like maybe something like that. But it depends on who you're going to take.
Sorry, my computer was dying.
Oh, no, it's all right. Johnny Mansour is with you on Tucker. He's a little bit too high. I don't think I had too much Cole. He was not a guy that I wanted. I do put this out to Twitch too, and we got a nice spam message. I feel like I'm making it in the world when I'm getting spam messages in my chats. So
I'm debating Pete Alonso here, but I just feel like the 03 is pretty gross.
I kind of like it. I mean, just from a pure entertainment standpoint.
There we go. We'll do it. I was going to pop Langford in there, but since you said you liked it.
Yeah. Well, I guess, yeah, Langford might have been the play there, but yeah.
Yeah, this will. I'm going to give away all my favorite late outfield targets in this draft. So
here you go. Oh, come on. Michael Fisher takes Austin Riley on me.
I'm going to have to hit this year's Brenton Doyle here after starting 3 infielders.
There you go. I'm going outfield with you here, though. Or infield, I should say. I'm taking Ketel Marte. I was hoping to get Austin Riley there. I have not gotten a lot of Olson and Riley together.
No, they kind of go at opposite ends. They're not easy to do. So you have to be willing to pull up Riley, which I think is fine. I think Riley seems to be the one guy that's not kind of getting his Braves bump this year. I mean, we pulled Jurickson Profar all the way up to like 62 or something, and
right.
We're not taking Austin Riley at 40. I mean, I get Austin Riley all the time on DK.
Yeah. Something I still haven't seen much done is the let's say you take Acuna, like if you want to do Acuna, Olson, Riley, I think that's a really interesting idea that I have not had the stones to do, but I think Chris, aka Baseball, out there is said that might be an interesting. And you have to do it. You have to take at this point. You have to take Acuna early to do it. So it's pretty tough to do. But
yeah, I mean, I get it. I'm not going to do it, but I just think you're going to run into too many like really stacked Acuna teams if you take them in the first round.
mm-hmm. That's fair enough.
I mean, I don't want to run into Shohei Ohtani just to get that Brave stack. I think it's too much,
Yeah.
Like I'm going to run into Ohtani versus Olsen and Riley. And yeah, I got Acuna, but man, like, can I really make the playoffs very often with taking him number? I don't know.
Yeah.
He misses a month or 6 weeks. All right, so here we see if I'm going to make it at outfield.
I mean, I think you got a bunch of options here in outfield to start.
Yeah, I'd like to take Reynolds here. Probably don't like him, but
no,
I don't dislike him that much.
Yeah, Marte seems like a great floor. TK was overweight on Riley. Yeah, we did get a hit by pitch on the hand again. It was like a rehash of last year where the MRIs came back clean, and then he went for a CT scan. Except this time, the CT scan also came back clean. So we dodged a bullet there, and now, I mean, you should have, pretty similar outfield options, even some guys that you might have been considering, like Adolis.
I think I probably have to take Garcia here, but I don't really want to. But I think I have to.
Okay. So you're not in on Doyle at his cost this year?
I am, and in fact, if he takes Garcia, I'm probably going to take Doyle.
Okay.
Yeah. I think that he's a pretty good play here. Yeah, let's do it.
There we go. I love it.
I just think, I need upside, so I think Garcia is fine for upside.
Yeah.
But I think the leadoff and he's more likely healthy than Adelaide. I just think I'm going to go there.
All right, I want to say Suzuki. He's a guy, when I was reviewing my exposures the other day, I did not have enough of. So I'm taking him as a solo piece. Most of the time I'd be taking Yelich there just because that's who I am. But I'm trying to make some stake at this point with let's say I get 25 to 50 drafts in from the 50 where I'm at in the dinger. Like, I need to start being mindful of exposures, I think.
Sure.
Yeah.
I was hoping I could talk Nemo all the way back down to me at 80 or whatever.
Yeah, and Garcia goes to Ben, who did get Langford. Obviously did not get Seager. Missed on him by one pick. I don't know. Yeah, I guess he could have taken Seager.
What's the latest on Steer that you've heard?
I have not heard an update.
Takes 2 swings in the cage. Or swings in the cage 2 days ago.
His price just kind of confused me to begin with.
Yeah, I was out on him to begin with. So this is kind of one of those situations where, do I want to get level with the field as he falls, or do I just want to stay out of it because he was already overpriced and now he's hurt?
Yeah, I'm staying out of it.
I think if I'd taken Ellie, I would take him here, but I think without Ellie, it just feels gross.
That makes sense.
What's the latest on Profar?
He
looks like he's
yeah. think he's at a similar thing. I think his price is just out of whack, though.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at what I've got there with no outfielders, I'm wondering.
Yeah, well, I'm considering him here as the stack, but I don't think I'm going to do it. I think I'm going to grab. Let's look ahead a little bit here. I'm going to grab Blake Snell.
Cowser has climbed a lot. He still goes a little late on DraftKings.
Okay.
Here, it's just like.
And he's a guy that's not falling because people want to put him with other Baltimore guys.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to take Steer if he's here. I don't think so. Because I don't have Helly. It just feels bad.
I mean, there's guys you can put him with after.
Yeah, you're right. I'm gonna do it.
All right.
I need the upside here. Austin Hayes, huh? People are doing that again.
Yeah. I mean, he's projected to hit cleanup on some lineups I've seen, so.
Jeez. I don't know. There's something about taking Cincy guys without Ellie that I don't like. Because I sit there and think, if Cincy is the team I want, what are the chances that Ellie doesn't have a big week? Like how often are you going to be sitting there like, oh, great, I've got 3 Reds players in my lineup, but Ellie only had 40 this week.
That's true. I just think, yeah, I think it's hard to just get to Cincinnati at all as a stack. That's another team that is confusing me as to what exactly they're going for.
Is SSJ Goose, is he out there? He wanted me to take a Met. Looks like I'm about to accidentally draft a full Met stack here.
Hayes, great last round pick with Steer hurt and only other righty outfielder for Cincinnati. Terry said he'd bat 4th behind Ellie to open the season. Yeah, that's not a good sign to me when Austin Hayes is your cleanup guy.
I'm debating between Vientos here for the stack, that stack, or how bad do I need a 4th outfielder?
Not bad enough.
Yeah. The Ward knee injury scares me just a little bit. And I think Quan would have been a pretty good pick right there, but I don't like doing Quan a lot without Ramirez either.
All right, I'll take Profar. He's fallen enough.
Yeah, that's a good spot.
Stack.
Yeah, that's a good spot for you. It's just funny because I was 20% Profar 2 years ago, and he was in Colorado, and I just thought that was a smash. He was terrible. Like I could only use him like twice the whole season, probably. And he goes to where was he last year? San Fran?
San Diego.
San Diego.
Yep.
He absolutely smashes.
Yeah. And years. I think this year we're more likely to see that Colorado season. I think last year was out of the ordinary, but
the projections really like him, man. They talked me into him. I certainly didn't go into the season thinking I was going to be 2x the field on Urix and Profar. But man, he was 1,400 points last year on Underdog.
That's fair enough.
Man, he outscored guys like Pete Alonso. He's got outfield eligibility. I don't know, man. That's one of those you just hold your nose. And I think take them.
Mitch also pointing out that Hayes is, getting an upgrade in park. Yeah, I don't know. Hayes is not a guy.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, Cincy guys, I'm always interested in Cincy guys. And I mean, it's a bandbox,
Yeah.
And I don't know. I can see it. All right. I'm going to take Soler here. I've already told you I like the Angels. Would have been great if I could have gotten both those Angels guys there, but that's a lot to ask this late.
Yeah.
But when you've got a weak outfield, Soler's a guy that, like, he can go out there and produce some pretty big spike weeks. And I do project the Angels to be a pretty decent offense this year, relatively speaking. I mean,
yeah.
And there's some late stacking options with the Angels, which makes them pretty interesting for this particular build.
Ben saying that Soler is smashing in spring. I did not realize that. Here's a question.
He is.
Any Willie Adames love?
You're asking me?
Yeah.
I'm very underweight. I like the player a lot. Hell, he was probably in my top 5 highest owned last year.
Mm-hmm.
Top 10, something like that. And he paid off big time. I mean, he was so hot down the end of the stretch. I think he was like 60% owned in the DK final.
Yeah.
Am I thinking about the right?
Yeah, he was up there.
Yeah. And I don't know, man. San Fran is a really gross team to try to stack. And it's going to be cold in the playoffs, probably. And oh man, I really wanted Pete Crow there.
Yeah. I thought maybe you'd pick him up in the last one. Yeah, if I'm starting San Francisco, I'm starting at Chapman and throwing like a Ramos or a Lee together more often than starting at Adames.
Would you take a 5th outfielder here? I'm never taking Springer here unstacked.
I mean, maybe not. I think I'd grab a pitcher myself.
I'm going to do Sasaki. I don't have a ton of him, and there was a tweet maybe last week where it showed his release point on like his 25 preseason pitches, and it was like they were within millimeters of each other.
He looks as advertised.
Yeah.
His fastball is not great, but all the other stuff looked nasty so far.
I've seen enough pitchers. Like when I was a kid, that's when we had the Fernando Mania and the Dwight Gooden. Like sometimes those young phenoms are they're outrageous right off the bat, and I want to be in on that.
Yeah. I grabbed Schwellenbach. I was in. Apparently, he's from. I think he's from Michigan originally, and I was in Michigan for work, and I was at a brewery, enjoying myself after the work day, and I just met this random dude who was, apparently knew the kid or knew him as a kid. He taught at a school or something. So he's like, we started talking about fantasy. You got to get this kid, Schwellenbach.
He's one of the biggest risers early. I think he was going maybe like 160, and he's gone all the way up to 100.
Yeah, I mean he wasn't in. He didn't have an 8, or he wasn't in the 7th inning stretch. So I think.
Okay, so people were, yeah, that makes sense. I didn't realize that. I think I did the 7th inning stretch. I didn't do as much of it this year. I did the way too early season contest. Is that the one you're talking about?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. I only did 20 teams this year. Last year I maxed it out. So
yeah. SB Tirso is not dead yet. Have not backed off. No, I still have grabbed Tirso a couple of times. He is.
I like Alcantara. There was like a blurb about he might have an innings limit or something that soured everybody. So I was just hammering him that week. It's like, I'm not buying that.
Yeah. And then a few days later, he's like, they didn't tell me about any limit.
Yeah. and the thing is, I mean, there's a decent chance he gets traded. They're not going to care about all that.
All right. So I know I'm stacking Arizona, but I just can't. I know, man. I'm scared on Suarez at 100. Pick 100. Like, I know he looked like he was going to be off the team last year, and then ended up being a guy that you wanted. But it's just one of these times the cold start's going to stay, and you're just going to be like, oh yeah, why did I take him?
I mean, he was. I know he was probably in my top 5 last year. I just had a ton of him. I was doing a lot of builds where I maybe took like 2 infielders early and then just laid off of them.
Sure.
And so I was kind of having to take these bailout infielders. And I think on our podcast that we did last year, I was like, I still take a lot of Suarez. He's a guy I think can absolutely rake. And man, did he come up big at the end of the year.
He did, that's for sure.
He's a big reason. I think I put 5 teams in the finals last year in various contests. He was just huge in the second and third round.
Yeah. Shadow Dog took him there. You got Tovar to go with Doyle.
I did. I like Tovar a lot. I think he's in part I do that because I have 3 Mets, and I'm not going to want to use those Mets for 6 consecutive weeks. Like that, I don't see that happening.
Yeah, you have 3 in the infield.
Right. So I'm going to need – this isn't the team to just say, oh, I quit at 5 crappy infielders or 6 good ones or something. Wow, these pitchers are – okay, if I would have been forced into Gallon there, I think. Since he goes, I'm going to take Pasquantino. With what that gives me there is 3 Mets, 2 KCs, and a Colorado.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I could probably stop on 6 infielders.
Yeah, and if there's a 7th one that makes sense, you can grab it. I'm going to grab a 4th pitcher here. We just talked about Carpenter and Wallner. Although I do kind of like Wallner better because I do like that Correa-Larnach stuff at the end.
I wish I'd taken Rafaela there in retrospect. What's his ADP on UD right now? 140? 144. Yeah. So it wasn't on my brain. But yeah. After Ben takes him there, is that?
Yeah, that's Ben.
Right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Steelty Go Blue. Yeah.
Yeah. After he takes him there, I'm just like, yeah. That's where ADP doesn't matter. I've got 4 outfielders. I need a 5th. I wish I'd done that. And you took who?
I took Bryce Miller.
Yeah, I like Bryce a lot.
Yep.
He's hopped up quite a bit, I think.
Yeah, he has a little bit. I think just everybody loves Seattle pitching and as a unit, and they're just moving all the guys up.
Yeah, the 164 is not a build I'm too familiar with. I do like to be experimental, but I'm in maybe uncharted waters. I doubt I've started any teams 164.
Yeah. I can't say that I have.
I do like to kind of force myself into some kind of uncomfortable starts and then see how I can fill it out, because sometimes that gets me thinking outside the box a little bit. And I know that I'm building a team that most people who are 164 are probably like auto drafting. They're not going to be very strong.
Yeah, absolutely. Christopher Sanchez up at 136 after we talked about him.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, he's really moving, and I hate myself for not taking more of him early. I mean, he was going 180, 3 weeks ago?
Yeah. All right. Infield 3, got 4 outfielders. I'm going to get boring here and just tack Gurriel onto my Arizona team at ADP. I think if people didn't like Arizona, Gurriel would be going later. But so I don't love paying the price, but on this team, I'm going to.
Yeah, I'm not doing a lot of Gurriel, but I can see it.
All right, so you take Lugo there.
Yeah, when you got 2 pitchers, I need kind of an innings eater on the UD. When you only have 1 pitcher through and he's a guy that could, I could see him being a top 10 pitcher this year. There's a path to that. I'm not projecting that, but
Yeah.
but
I mean, we saw the path last year.
Yeah, when you're looking at for your number 2 pitcher right there, I think he's a better bet than Senga or Rodriguez.
Yeah. Yeah. Again, any mention of Christopher Sanchez is popular in the chat. He's going to be great. Didn't get to enough of him early. He's going to be grabbing him as much as possible. Yeah. Ben is saying he thinks he can sit with those 120 guys like Gray and Bybee and Miller.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. I mean, he's lights out so far. And I don't think it's a fluke because we've seen him lights out as a setup man. I'm going to go Nolan Jones here because I'm looking for a 5th outfielder. So it's really just a swing at upside to pair with Tovar. I don't have a lot of Nolan Jones, but I've also normally got 5 or maybe even 6 outfielders by now. And I think he's a guy that I'd rather take as a 5th outfielder than a 7th. Because like if he's a 0, okay, this team probably stinks anyway. But if he is a smash, this is a team where he's gonna pay off for me a lot.
Yeah, and I grabbed Yandy Diaz there. I think he is just consistently underrated.
Yeah, he's just going too low. I thought he was going too low last year, and I know he's going too low this year.
Yeah, I needed some infield bulk there, and I am not a Michael Toglia guy.
Where did Tampa Bay Jr. go in this draft?
Caminero. Let's see. He went at 49.
Wow.
And what is his ADP? 66. So yeah. Who was that?
Okay.
Bjorn bumped him up. I'm surprised that he doesn't go there more often. Like people are sold. They're ready.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it was a silly rabbit trickery. I think likes him a lot. Or I know that he did 2 years ago or last year. I assume he likes him again this year. And he's a guy that's had a lot of success.
All right, let's see. Toglia is hanging out here. I know I said I'm not a Toglia guy, but Billy, if you're watching, I'm taking one of my first shares of Michael Toglia here. Drop down 20 picks. Like, let's do it. Like I said, I need some infield.
I really need a pitcher here, but I'm still going to go to
Okay. Yeah, so you're just pushing this extreme experiment. Yeah, you got Steer and Friedel.
So I got 2 Colorado guys, 2 Cincy guys,
and
then Detroit and LAA. I feel like I've salvaged that outfield, possibly.
Yeah. I mean, we get Steer back pretty quick. Nolan Jones is even like 60% of what we hoped last year, and we'll call that a win on Nolan Jones this year.
Right. Yeah, I mean, he's a guy that was going round 3 last year. I never liked that. I think I was probably even with the field. I didn't feel good about it, but I'll probably be at like 4% this year, and close to 0 on DK because he's an infielder there.
Yeah.
I guess I shouldn't have talked you into Grayson. I didn't realize he'd fallen this far. Last year.
Yeah. I think I'm surprised that he is with the slightly positive news of today.
Mm-hmm. I guess as a 3rd starter, he would make sense for me here. Yeah. I mean, if he misses a month, I can handle that, and it gives me some pretty serious upside.
Yeah, and if you're already taking a risk in your build, and he's out, then like,
right?
How much more are you losing? You already lost your $10, or maybe. All right. I am at 455. Who am I looking at for an outfielder here? I think I'm going to grab Jesus Sanchez.
Yeah.
Cautionary exit with side. Kind of scary. I just don't want to be shopping for a late outfielder at this point or in this draft. I think I'm just going to close that up at 6 and kind of fill in the other positions. All right, so at this point, you kind of have to hit pitching hard, or
Yeah.
are you thinking 8 or on this one, or what?
Probably not. I think I go with Sasaki being lights out, Lugo having the same year he did last year, and Rodriguez, pitching well for the portion of the season he does pitch. I think I'm okay. I'm just not an 8 pitcher guy.
Yep. Totally fair.
There's a chance I'll do it, but it's still pretty low. I'd rather take a 7th outfielder on this experimental build.
Okay.
What's the latest on Parker? Will not be ready for opening day. Yeah, I think the nerve issue, that scares me. Man, I've had a nerve issue in my arm, and there's just not a lot of strength in it. And that's one thing when you're, work a desk job and draft baseball teams on a couch all night, but it's a totally different thing when I'm asking you to hit 20 home runs.
Yeah, I'm pretty disappointed. I was ready for his breakout this year.
Yeah, I was taking a lot of him before that.
Job at 183. I don't like that. I'm just not sold on Job this year.
I don't have much of it. I just don't know a lot about him, and it seems like a pretty risky pick.
All right. Let's see. I do have Strider already. Tough to take Strider and Woodruff on the same team. Let's just take a Zach Eflin. He was a big disappointment for me last year. I was buying in on the 2023 season, but I don't know. If we get somewhere in between, then I feel like he's a perfectly fine pick. Yeah, you took Fott there. He was the other guy I had.
Yeah, that was a pretty easy pick for me. He had a bad start the other day, and I think some people got chased off of him. And, of course, he bounces back his next start. I think he's a pretty good pick. I've got a decent amount of him, and I think when I'm looking for a 4th starter there, it's just a smash.
Yeah. He's hit like 180 innings the last 2 seasons. So even though he's young, he has already shown that he can be a workhorse, which even if he's not super outstanding, never really makes that next step. And he's always just a 3rd starter in a rotation. I think he's awesome there, especially with the group that you're putting together.
And I don't think I've clicked on Parker Meadows once in the last ever since the nerve injury came out. I don't know that I'm going to do it here either.
I was hearing a butt coming after that.
Well, I've got Riley,
and
that would give me 2 Detroit, 2 Colorado, 2 Cincy's, and 7 total outfielders, which kind of brings me back from the week start where I started with 3 infielders. I just don't have a good feeling about it, man.
No, there is no good feeling to be had. I'm with you there. it's all just remnant good feelings from what you hoped for before.
Right. Like I think it's his 987 projection that people are looking at, and I don't think he hits it very often. So I'm going to skip down to Joe Adell, who I think has more upside.
Okay.
And that gives me 2 Los Angeles Angels.
Mhm.
I just think I need 7 outfielders on this team. When Riley Green's your number 1, I think you got to have 7.
All right. I said I wasn't going to do it, but I think I'm going to build an 8-pitcher team here.
Okay.
Take Strider and Woodruff, and then just fill in some boring guys.
What's your infield?
I got Olsen, Marte, Goldschmidt, Yandy, and Toglia. I think I'm no problem going 6th there, and I grabbed Sanchez as my 6th outfielder. A couple of guys I don't like at price here, but I think they're solid enough. Like when you're flip flopping these guys in the late guy, like, and you're comparing them, just like these guys are consistent, I think, and they're part of my stacks. So yeah, I like this team so far, and so I'm going to do an 8-pitcher build here. Let's see.
Now my question here is: am I looking at a 7-6-7 or am I looking at a 6-7-7? I think with Grayson, I'm leaning 7 pitchers here.
Sure, I think even with Sasaki too.
Yeah.
Although I mean, you took him where you're saying that you don't need to back him up. So
yeah, but I don't know that he's going to get a lot of 2-start weeks. I don't know that he's going to pitch deep into games. With Grayson being hurt, I'm leaning towards 7 here.
Yep, I would go that way too. It just, at a certain point you're like saying, "Oh, I'm drafting this part right," and then you come back later in the draft like, "Well, maybe I'll just back him up." So I certainly understand how you can say one thing and then later in the draft come up with it. I'm a Tanner Houck here. Don't have a bunch of him. Tuma sold me on him the other day when we were.
Yeah, and I think with that back end of that rotation looks pretty banged up, which is disappointing because I like Cutter and I like
Bayo.
Yeah, but I can't take them right now very easily.
Right, yeah. Bayo maybe, but Cutter, consistent knee problems that he had last year is pretty scary.
I'm going to take Reese. It's a guy that I've been taking a lot lately.
All right, so I do need one more infielder. I think it can be pretty much any solo guy.
There's your boy Nico.
He's there. I could take him. I will not be taking him.
I like Zach Giloff. Feels better if you have him stacked, but I do like him.
Yeah, he did get 17 home runs and 25 stolen bases last year. That's better than I expected.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's a 2020 guy, and that's a pretty good look there. If I don't know what to expect out of that ballpark, but I think that he's a pretty good pick.
Yeah, I mean, it can't be worse than the Coliseum, so it's got to be a better hitting environment than that. So, and all indicators say that it should, better temperature outdoors. Doesn't have that huge fall ground. Bjorn's buying the Austin Hayes cleanup.
Yeah, I would have considered him here with my Cincy thing going on with Friedel and Steer. I think that would have been a pretty good 7th outfielder.
Yeah, Sherlock here pointing out the Athletics team is basically the same dimensions without the fall territory. Yeah, and then a little bit better temperature, a little further away from the marine layer. Ronel Blanco. All right.
Yeah, I like him, and he's a guy that I can't really get to on DK because he goes like 120 or 130 or something silly, 140 at least. And so I do like him on the Underdog quite a bit, though.
Okay. Let's see if Michael Fisher here leaves me my guy. Oh, yep. Okay. Yeah, I was eyeballing Brandon Lowe. I didn't want to mention him, but put Brandon Lowe with Yandy Diaz here. I think Lowe is fine on his own, too. Just like, even if he plays a month this season, he's going to hit maybe 4 home runs in that month. All right. So at this point, we both have 1 pick left. Ooh, Michael Fisher took Tommy Pham. I didn't notice. That was interesting. Tommy Pham's been a guy that I've loved the last few years as a late outfielder. But I think as he ages, I'm just seeing too many times that he's missing a week here. You know, he'll have a hot week and then he'll miss a week and then be cold for a month. And then he'll get traded and then he'll have, you know, I just think he's hitting the end of his lifespan for me. Ooh, Simeon. This is Latman here with a Simeon Woods Richardson and a Luke Raley. Not 2 guys you don't see go often at all.
Yeah, and I think that's fine. I mean, if you want to take stabs here late, if you see a guy that's having a good spring or, you know, going off the board here has a lot of merit because you're taking some other guys that maybe have risen 3 rounds, and it's kind of a good way to differentiate from some of those teams that got better ADP value than you did.
Yep. David Peterson there at the end for Cheese Skull. I like that as a deeper Mets pick as their bullpen or as their rotation is pretty weak in terms of guys already hurt. You know, your Reese Olson pick inspired me here. I'm gonna go Casey Mize. He is a guy who has looked good in spring, has not really risen. He's started getting drafted more often, but not someone I've drafted much. I kind of forget about him, but your early Reese Olson inspired me there. Everybody's buying in on the 6 pitcher now. You've sold them.
Yeah. With my last pick here, I'm going to take a sleeper for me. I don't do a ton of them, but I do like him.
Okay.
Jose Siri. And go 668. 668 is a build. This may be my first 668. I don't do a lot of it. It's kind of opposite of where I want to be. I'd rather have 5 outfielders than 8.
Mm-hmm.
But I think when Riley Green's your number 1, you're really looking for a way to match teams that have like an Ohtani or an Acuna or a 3 outfielders in their first 4 picks. And I don't want to rely on like Riley Green every single week. So I think by taking quantity there, I kind of offset that bypassing the early outfielders. And I think when I've got that Mets stack, I think Siri has a lot of potential, especially if Nemo's hurt.
Yeah. Bjorn goes with a Jonathan Aranda. He tried to sneak that in there, that pick that doesn't always show up. So that in a Connor North Shadow Dog. Yeah.
I haven't done that one yet.
This is an exciting, but in terms, most people would think I'm crazy to say that this is exciting, but this is an exciting last round. People down there, they scroll down, and I like that. So yeah, you did the 668. I did 866.
Yeah. I kind of like my team. I mean, I have a ton of hitters stacked, and it's a different team. I think when you're building a portfolio of 300 teams, you want to be kind of mixed. And I just like taking 14 hitters. It gives you a way to really lock in on, the stats show that the more stacked hitters you have on their team, the better. And what's an easier way to do that than drafting 14 hitters?
Yeah. I got to pop in here as the final segment here. The team that I auto drafted when I entered at the start ended up being 776. Really strong outfield and not so much.
Is that Brandon Marsh as your fourth outfielder?
No, Brandon
Nemo. Okay. I was about to say.
Then Robert and Soler. This is a build I would not get to, but yeah, that's just funny. I had to check that out.
They're probably your third best team.
Yeah, for sure. And then I'm gonna be trying to like explain why I got to this build next year. Who is your highest percent hitter? Mine's Christian Yelich.
Pete Crow Armstrong, 32%. It's my highest outfielder, and Zach Neto at 28% is my highest infielder.
Okay. Yeah, you can see here I'm pretty heavy on a few guys. And yeah, I don't know how updated that is. Oh, I'm not even sharing my screen anymore. So never mind. You can't see that. And I'm not going to let you. It's secret. All right, Rally, man. We did not plan on to exactly, but we got there. We got in the draft. Excellent to have you again this year.
Yeah, man. This will be the only show in the world with 2 back-to-back finalists.
Yeah, I think that's true. And next year we can. I'm sure we'll run it back because one of us, we'll both be in the finals again.
Absolutely. All right, man. Thanks for having me on.
Yes. Thank you for coming. Thank you, everybody that hung out for the evening. We've got less than 2 weeks. We got to get out there. We got to fill the dinger because we want it bigger next year. So spread the message. Lie to people. Tell them that you think there's going to be big overlay, so they fire away. But
yeah, I was noticing we're a little behind the fill rate this year.
Yeah.
But the size of the contest is like 30% bigger or something.
Yeah.
So baseball is really growing.
Yeah. And I can't be more excited. I'm not ready for the season to begin, but it'll be good to get there. I'm already, thinking about next season too. But yeah, so get out there, fill some drafts. Thank you again, Rally. Thank you for watching. So everyone out there, have a great weekend.